Hey gamers, we're back with another episode of Let's Create a Competitive Card Game. In this episode, we'll be finishing up the Cleric card effects. Alright, so first, it's been quite some time since I've done an episode for the, original series of Let's Create a Competitive Card Game. And so what I'll do is I'll go over the Cleric card effects first. I'll just do a quick run through, and then at the top of the video I'll post a link to the previous one where I went into a little bit more detail on the effects and my ideas behind them, as well as the art description for these cards. So just to run through the effects that we had already come up with, the first one was at the end of your turn you could gain 1 life for each cleric that you controlled. And again, the idea of cleric is to gain life. And in case you guys don't remember, life has 2 main priorities. One is life gain and the other is burn. The clerics focus on the life gain aspect of the life guild. So yeah, that is the first card effect that we came up with. And the second one was whenever this card was destroyed by combat, you gained 5 life. So this one's a little bit different in that you have to be destroyed by combat, as opposed to other card games where if say a card would be destroyed in any type of way, you would gain life. So I think maybe depending on how prominent life gain is, or the feasibility of actually getting a life gain win, this card effect could change in some of the play testing to just be when the card itself is destroyed. Alright, and the last cleric effect that I previously came up with was when this card blocked, you would gain 4 life. And this is a pretty decent life gain depending on the stats of the card, of what its attack and defense will be. As if you guys remember, the idea in this game is that a card can block multiple times, so the damage would stay until the end of the turn, but you could block as much as you want. And unlike other games, or some other games where you have to tap, I guess, in order to declare a blocker, you don't actually have to do that in this game. So cards can block multiple times. So if you have a way of removing damage from a card, then this is a really good way to gain life in the turn, granted your opponent is attacking you. Alright, and like I said, I'm going to post a link to the previous video so that you guys can see the art description and sort of how I came up with that. So the new effects, the first one is whenever you play a cleric follower, you would gain 1 life. So the idea behind this card is that it is a card that has a higher cost, and the idea, actually maybe it could have a lower cost, and so you get rewarded early, and the longer you can keep this card in play, the more life you can gain, as opposed to having a higher cost and coming out later in the game and being sort of a constant life gain until your opponent can build up to take this card out. So I might have to play around with this. As thinking about it now, I think it may be better to make this card a cheaper cost, come out earlier, and you have more of a better chance to start that life gain engine. Now, for the art description, which I gave the artist, I told her that I wanted a cleric maybe reading a book with lots of outstretched hands going towards him, and there should be light coming or going from the cleric to the outstretched hands. And my idea is maybe a cleric standing in the center of a large circle of other people, and all of their hands sort of reaching to him as he reads maybe this manuscript, and he's sort of glowing and giving energy to other cards essentially. Alright, now the last few effects for the life gain, they're all very similar. So the idea behind these next 3 cards is that there are a triplet of characters within the game, and these triplets all effectively let you gain life when this card enters the play area. So one card lets you gain 3 life when it enters the play area, the other one lets you gain 2, and the last one lets you gain 1. And one idea that I had sort of after sort of coming up with this effect is that maybe for each one as they go up in the cost as well, instead of just gaining, say, the set 3 life when this card enters the play area, you also gain X number of life for each other card, whether this be, I'm going to call it card 70 and 71. So for maybe each one of those in the discarded area, you would also gain an additional amount of life. Same thing with the card 70. For each card 71 in the discard area, you gain additional life. So that is sort of the idea. Again, like I said in the previous video, it really depends on the feasibility of getting a life victory. So the victory of getting a certain amount or gaining a certain amount of life, the harder that it is to achieve, that will mostly depend on how some of these effects change. And so for the art description, which I gave the artist, it is the same for all 3 of those cards that let you gain life when one of them enter play. So the idea again is that they are a triplet, and I told her maybe the triplet is 2 girls and a boy, and each card should have all of the triplets in the picture, but only one of the triplets should be the focal point, and it should be a different triplet on each of the cards. And also something that I told her as well was that the image should be different on each card. So not like, hey, maybe it's 3 people, I don't know, sitting around a table, and on one card one person's the focal point, and then on the other card the other character is, and then on the last one the other character is. No, it should be 3 different images with all 3 of them in it, and a different character is the focal point each time. Alright, so those are all of the effects for the Cleric cards, and again, there will be a number of cards which are vanilla cards, or essentially cards that do not have effects. And the way these are balanced, if you remember back to when I discussed coming up with the cost benefit analysis for the cards, these cards will inherently have better stats than cards with effects, as the effects make up for the difference in stats when it comes to cards without stats. And something I did actually forget to mention is that for all of the vanilla cards, I did tell the artist that she can draw whatever she wants for that class. So for the magicians, whereas I'm always saying, hey, I want this magician doing this specific thing, or here's my idea, I told her, no, just draw what the magician is in this game doing whatever you want. Same thing for the cleric, just draw a cleric for this game doing whatever you want it to do. So there's some artistic freedom there. I'm not quite sure how the artist is, I guess, going to take that, as she has been really wanting a lot of detail on how I want each individual image drawn. But yeah, that will be the end of this episode, and in the next episode, it will be Let's Create a Competitive Card Game, the Card Art Edition, and I should hopefully have some more concept art. So if you like these episodes, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.